In 1855, a Tennessee slave named Sarah Hannah Shepherd discovered that her daughter, Ella, had been trained to spy on her by their white mistress. Tormented, despairing, Sarah set off to drown her little girl, then herself. But Providence intervened in the form of an old slave woman.
Mother caught me in her arms, and while rushing to the river to end it all, was overtaken by Aunt Viney, who cried out, "Don't do it, honey. Don't you see the clouds of the Lord as they pass by? The Lord has got need of this child." My mother took courage and walked back to slavery to await God's own time. Ella Shepherd.
Ella would fulfill the prophecy in a way Sarah never imagined, through Sarah's own songs of sorrow and redemption. One day, Ella would perform them in palaces, cathedrals, and concert halls, with a choir of emancipated slaves, and build a great university out of the sacred songs of Jubilee.
So I just wanted to play that just so we can see some of the just a example, a small example, just a real life example of just some of the pressures and horrors that would be happening on slave plantations, on the situations that our foreparents had went through. We got to understand that there's a lot of psychology that was done, and black folks, we did not take kind to traitors. This is part of our culture. We will kill your own children, and then if you're killing your children, you got to kill yourself. But you don't set up, so that was a real experience, and we can judge it from 2023, on murdering your children because they betrayed you, because they were trained to betray you and spy on you. But these are the situations that our people have went through. So we don't understand how sacred these type of songs. Okay, these were the therapy. This is where these songs coming from. That's why in our spirit and our soul, these songs were, especially during that time, they were not just regular songs. These were therapy sessions. Okay, so I just wanted us to think about that. So let's listen to this further part. And the Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. This is just an example.
But White was most entranced by the mysterious, moving songs that Ella Shepherd and the students sang for themselves. They were called cabin songs, plantation melodies, spirituals, and jubilees, folk hymns composed by slaves for worship and solace.
Coming for to carry me home.
You start singing a song, and when you're singing it first, according to the slaves, you're just singing the words. But after a while, it's almost like therapy. It begins to take the frown out of the face. The shoulders begin to come back to their natural position. What's happening is you're going through a cleansing process. These people were not readers. They were not writers. They had to sing songs with a few words that they could learn once, carry on forever, that everybody could sing at the same time. So you're going to find spirituals that'll say, "Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home." Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Just a few words which are going to be sung over and over.
Strip trousers and top hats. Minstrel show entertainment includes limiting black music, imitating black music, and dance and speaking in plantation dialect. The shows featured a variety of joke songs, dance, and skits that were based on the ugliest stereotypes of African American slaves from 1840 to 1890. Minstrel shows were the popular form of entertainment in America.
What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike 2164. We want to go over this real quick because this is something important, and it's just like school. You notice that no matter what generation, could be your children, you when you was a kid, your grandparents. The school teaches some of the same basic subjects over and over. No matter how many years, they're going to teach these same basic subjects. Why? Because if you stop teaching certain basics, then people revert back to before you even knew the history. So we're going to go over this blackface thing again. Today it doesn't seem to have as much sting, but today I want to try to make this video to try to show you the sting of the real sting if blackface is allowed to come back and be cool. So we want to go over the history of blackface. This is the website here. So blackface, the mask which the actor is apt to become his face, and that's from Plato. Blackface is more than just a burnt coat applied to makeup. It's a style of entertainment based on racist black stereotypes that began in the minstrel shows and continues today. Now keep in mind, we got some famous actors, some very famous people, some people that are, have a lot of charisma, a lot of enthusiasm on the screen, very popular stuff. And what if these people make it popular? Your normal behaviors, the behaviors of your people, are made fun of, laughed at, and made a minstrel. And it becomes popular to demonize you, to demonize your style, to demonize your normal culture. Your average culture becomes a joke. That's why black folks run away from being themselves, okay? Knowledge of self, that means if you don't have knowledge of yourself, you can't love yourself. So this is why you see a lot of lack of self-love in the black community, because American culture has been, circled around, making fun of black people. So here's the history of blackface. The stock of characters of blackface minstrelsy have been played a significant role in disseminating racist images, attitudes, and perceptions worldwide. Now this is worldwide. This is why people come from other places and still look down on you. Every immigrant group was stereotyped on the music hall stage during the 19th century, but the history of prejudice, hostility, and ignorance towards black people has ensured a unique longevity to the stereotypes. White Americans' conceptions of black entertainments were shaped by minstrelsy's mocking caricatures, and for over 100 years, think about that, 100 years of making fun of you. The belief that blacks were racially and socially inferior was fostered by legions of both white and black performers in blackface, racist black stereotypes, originating in the white man's characterizations of plantation slaves and free blacks during the era of minstrel shows, as 1830 and 1890. The characters took such a familiar hold in the American imagination that audiences expected any person with dark skin, no matter what their background, to conform to one or more of these stereotypes. So here it is, the Zip Coon, there's Jim Crow, and you can read this on your own. These, you got to realize they just looked at our characters and they just made up certain names for them. And you're called that if you behave this way. You're Jim Crow. You're a Zip Coon. Okay. So this coon is made mockery of free blacks. So the Zip Coon, you think you're free. You're trying to dress and be respected. You're a coon. Okay. So let's look at that. The term Jim Crow originated in 1830 when a white minstrel show performer, Thomas Daddy Rice, blackened his face with burnt cork and danced the jig while singing to the song Jim Crow. First performed by George Dixon in 1834, Zip Coon made a mockery of free blacks, an arrogant, ostentatious figure. He dressed in high style and spoke in a series of malprops and puns that undermined his attempt to appear dignified. The mistaken use of an incorrect word in place of a word with similar sound. Okay, so then here you go to Mammy. Mammy is the source of earthly wisdom, who is fiercely independent and brooks no backtalk. Although her image changed a little over the years, she was always the favorite of advertisers. Uncle Toms are typically good, gentle, religious, and sober. Images of Uncle Toms were another favorite of the advertisers. So they're showing PepsiCo, Aunt Jemima syrup, Uncle Ben's rice. Finally announced in 2020 that they were removing the characters that began as minstrel show stereotypes from their packaging. Now you get the Buck. The Buck is a large black man. It reminds me of Marjorie Taylor, who just was talking about another black congressman from New York that she claimed to be afraid of. The Buck is a large black man who is proud, sometimes menacing, and always interested in white women. This white woman thinks that this Buck is always trying to get at them. All right, the Temptress. During the minstrel era, wenches were typically a male and female garb. Wow. In film, wenches were usually female mulattoes. So the mulatto was the mixed blood, male or female, in film often portrayed as a tragic figure who either intentionally or unintentionally passes for white until they discover they have Negro blood or are discovered by another character to be black. The pickaninnies have bulging eyes, unkempt hair, red lips, and wide mouths, into which they stuff huge slices of watermelon. Wow, okay. So these stereotypes were staples during the minstrel era and carry over into vaudeville. Vaudeville is like before movies, film and television. So blackface makeup was either a layer of burnt cork on a layer of cocoa butter or black grease paint. In the early years, exaggerated red lips were painted around their mouth like those of today's circus clowns. In later years, the lips were usually painted white or unpainted. Costumes were usually gaudy combinations of formal wear: swallowtail coats, striped trousers, and top hats. Minstrel show entertainment includes limiting black music, imitating black music, and dance and speaking in plantation dialect. The shows feature a variety of jokes, songs, dance, and skits that were based on the ugliest stereotypes of African American slaves from 1840 to 1890. Minstrel shows were the popular form of entertainment in America. And we're going to see some of this a little later. Judy Garland. But this is not really Judy Garland, it's MGM, because this is how they made their money. Metro Goldwyn and Mayer. This is a Jewish company, but this is how they made their money, off of minstrel shows of black folks. White audiences in 19th century wouldn't accept real black entertainers on stage unless they performed in blackface or makeup. One of the first blacks to perform in blackface for white audience was the man who invented tap dancing. Wow. Tap dancing, William Henry Lane, aka Master Juba. Lane's talent and skill were extraordinary, and eventually he became famous enough that he was able to perform in his own skin. I want to see what this guy's about. So this is Juba, Master Juba. The man who invented tap dancing. William Henry Lane. He was born a free black man in Rhode Island, 1825, and began his career as a performer in minstrel shows. He played the banjo and tambourine and could imitate the moves of all the best dancers of his time. He created his own innovations and danced his way to international fame. All right, let's get back to this real quick. So Henry Lane, aka Master Juba Lane's talent and skill were extraordinary. In the 1800s, one of the most popular of the blackface performers was the adaptation of Uncle Tom's Cabin, an anti-slavery tale. It met with few objections even from anti-theater religious leaders. A mixture of minstrel shows, circus, and spectacle, and trained dogs, ponies, and sometimes even a crocodile. I wonder what that was for. It remained the most popular play in America for over 100 years. Wow, over a century. So this is a deep history. So, you know, we could look more into this. Vaudeville is basically a show. It's basically, this is the movies. So blackface on Broadway, this is the movies, silent movies, race movies. Now, when we're talking about the term race hustling, this is the real race hustling. Northern blacks responded to Birth of a Nation by producing their own movies. Race movies were all black affairs that were made for black audience. The most successful black film producers of the first half of the 20th century was a former railroad porter and novelist named Oscar Micheloux. This Chicago-based Micheloux Film Corporation, which operated from 1918 to 1940, produced over 44 films. Micheloux' most important film was Within Our Gates. I'm going to have to check that out later. An uncompromising look at racial attitudes and prejudice among both blacks and whites, and it included both a rape and a lynching. So, you know, this is something, of course, racist cartoons, you know, just imagine, they make so much money off of race hustling. That's what they do. This is how Hollywood was built. Race hustling. Amos and Andy. Just race hustling. You know, they want to talk about black folks race hustling because we're talking about this. We're trying to get rid of this crap. But as far as race hustling, but it has to be taught about. So I want to show this here. So we're back to race hustling. So this is from Politico, you know, and these seem to be the gospel truth, you know, fact tellers, whatever. But so the Birth of a Nation, this is race hustling. So Birth of a Nation premieres in LA, February 8th, 1915. So that's California. Okay. A century ago, moviegoers flocked to theaters to see Birth of a Nation, a silent film that made its debut in 1915 in Los Angeles. Okay. For initial screening, the city council, responding to concern about racist nature, ordered it suppressed. The premiere occurred after its director, D.W. Griffith, won a court injunction granting its release. The Birth of a Nation reveals more about race relations in 1915 than it does about the true nature of the Civil War and its aftermath. Originally distributed as The Klansman, they don't spell that with a K. It's interesting. And this is Politico, but anyway. You know, The Birth of a Nation, under the patronage of Woodrow Wilson, which is the president, became the first movie to be shown at the White House. And this is race hustling. Okay. While in office, the Virginia-born Democrat president resegregated the federal workforce. It also helped inspire the Ku Klux Klan's revival at Stone Mountain, Georgia, and was used as a recruiting tool by the 20th century. So that's race hustling.
Love, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Oh, I come from the south, from way down south, where the corn and potatoes used to grow. There's great big elegant pictures show, and my old Kentucky home is a French chateau. Way down south in Dixie, swing low, sweet.
Diego, I think we got something there.
I'll say we have. Carry me home. Oh, I come from the south, from the deep, deep south, where the fields of cotton just die with blight, and the pappy reads Esquire with delight, while my Alabama mammy plays bridge all night. Way down south in Dixie, swinging low, sweet chariot. Come on, come on, come on, carry me home. Oh, I come from the south, got this south in my mouth. Uncle Tom's cab's got a new routine, lights across the ice in the limousine, while Simon Legree shakes his tambourine. Way down south in Dixie, swinging low, sweet chariot, swing low, sweet chariot. Listen here, you won't let me speak. Don't you know the Swanee River is a dried up creek? Come on and carry me home. La da, la da, ho, 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 da 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 da.
All right, so I'm showing this here because we see Judy Garland do the blackface, and you see how she's actually pretty good. She's very good. She's a very good performer, and you see how attractive that could be in popularizing, making fun of people, even today. And look at some of these comments. I just wanted to go through some of these comments. There are people defending, they want to attack her, but people are defending this. But this is the reason why, this stuff is going on so long. This is race hustling. This is how they made their money. This is terrifying. Things like this need to be preserved and remembered without knowing how. And so we just need to notice how short the dress was, the exaggerated figures, black folks, that's a sexual, especially in those times, that's sexual reference, how she's holding her dress kind of up where you can get easy access. And you see the Jewish man, bravo, bravo. That's Metro Goldwyn Mayer. Okay, so they realized that there was a gold mine in black talent, and that's where they made their money. So when you see these powerful people who feel that they have the right to have control over black intellectual property, this is where you're getting a lot of that from. That's where you're getting it from. So this is the reason why this kind of stuff, we have to study it. It might be painful for some of y'all, but this is why we teach the history. Far we've come, you haven't gone nowhere. You're still doing it. When white people see this stuff, they want to repeat this stuff. So people are out here. This is just 5 months ago. The more I read into Judy Garland's life, the more I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Okay, she's doing blackface, but I'm feeling sorry for her. But really, it's these studios, and this is just the culture of America. Poor girl has been exploited and did everything against her will. Yeah, okay, ever since she entered Hollywood. Worth noting that as an adult, Judy Garland went on to be an active supporter of the civil rights movement in the U.S., whatever. Reading the comments, I'm glad people actually know Judy Garland's history. It's sad that she had to do this because she was under contract, but her voice is beautiful. In my opinion, the reason why this hasn't really gotten any attention in media is because people are aware and very vocal of what Judy Garland went through, and they would go after the studios instead. At least that's what I hoped would happen. Totally believe she absolutely hated doing this. She didn't hate doing this. This was what you do. But see, it's just showing you how these people, they use everybody as a slave. But it's all about it's an industry based on destroying and denigrating you as a black person. The black part of humanity must be denigrated. And even black people nowadays, they don't want to call themselves black because, oh, it's some type of issue with that. So this is what I mean by war on black too. And listen to this, Aaron Juanes, this is beautiful. See that? This is beautiful. Nothing else. You see, and other people in different countries, they're, you know, I had no idea something like this existed. Judy has an absolutely lovely voice, but the person who thought it was a good idea to put her in blackface shouldn't have been fired or fined. Yeah, I mean, they get away with this stuff now. See, so this is race hustling. So I'm just saying, guys, we got to root ourselves in true, actual stuff. Because, you know, this whole industry of demonizing, you know, a certain group of people because they're trying to fight for some independence and they want to change the status quo into something more righteous. You know, what disgusts me even more is the fact that she was forced into this by the company she worked for. Pretty messed up how they made her do blackface against her will. How do you know she was against her will? Look at some people, they love it. Her best performance ever. Laughing. See this? Yeah. This is a deep scar in her drug addiction. MGM forced her to commit roles contractually. Judy Garland was notorious as a huge civil rights advocate, and I feel just as ashamed for knowing MGM producers marginalized actresses. Judy Garland was deeply misunderstood and unbelievably lovely. All right, so, you know, of course they're going to film her. So after we see everybody trying to empathize and sympathize with the white woman and the plight that she was forced to make money, you know, paint her face black and, you know, embarrassing all the black people, let's go back to, you know, the actual and like people and share who had to live. You know, make sure you make a comment, share the message, get it through the world. Let me know what you guys think. You know, right, after these songs were literally coming from the pain and the suffering that black folks had endured. And to see that same song that your grandmother, your mother, and your great-grandfather sung to you and told you the history that they went through, but to see Judy up there, to see whoever, Zip Coon and all of these little games played constantly for over 100 years to make you look stupid, that's where the blackface, that's the source of the pain. That's the source of the irritation. So tell me what you guys think.
Oh, Zip Coon, he's a learned scholar. Oh, Zip Coon, he's a learned scholar. Oh, Zip Coon, he's a learned scholar. Sings Possum up the gum tree, Cooney and the Holler. Possum up the gum tree, Cooney on the stump. Possum up the gum tree, Cooney on the stump.